Welcome back friends, welcome back to Pharma E-Class. So we were discussing pharmaceutical engineering and we were discussing unit 3, first chapter, drying. So in the previous lecture we had discussed about the definition of drying, what is actually meant by drying, the basic process of drying and the basic difference between drying and evaporation. So I would recapitulate shortly, then we'll move on to our second topic, that is the theory of drying. So drying is a unit operation where small amount of moisture or liquid is removed from a wet mass. Drying is a very important unit operation which is routinely followed for the processing of different types of pharmaceuticals, because moisture can contain different types of problem, can be the reason of different type of problems in a pharmaceutical, in a raw material or in an excipient, and we have to make, for the stability purpose, for improvement of the surface characteristics, material, for proper material handling, we have to make the candidate moisture free, and for that process we have to go through the process of drying. So we have discussed the basic difference between drying and evaporation. Both are unit operations, both involves vaporization of the moisture, but the basic difference between a drying and an evaporation is that in drying, after that the process is completed, we get a dry powder, we get a dry solid, whereas in evaporation we evaporate huge amount of moisture from a liquid, and hence the result we get as a concentrated slime. Next we had gone through certain definitions, like for example that depends on the different calculations, like equilibrium moisture content, free moisture content. Then we had studied about the processes of loss of drying, what is percentage moisture content. All these processes will equate and will help us to know what is actually meant by a part of the theory of drying. So we are coming to the theory of drying. So basically the drying process, which is being routinely followed in a laboratory or in a different type of thing, that involves we have to dry, we have to delete, we have to eliminate moisture from a wet mass, and that wet mass, suppose we keep it inside a bowl, we keeping in the wet mass, and we have to circulate hot air throughout the wet mass. So in terms of, there should be transfer of the heat into the different layers, because we don't know where the moisture is. The moisture can be at any places. The moisture can be in between particles, the moisture can be at the surface of the solid, the moisture can be in between the void spaces of the particles or inside the capillaries and everything, because moisture remains in basically two forms, which will come to that. So we have to circulate hot air throughout the different layers of the solid, and the moisture we have to eliminate or we have to evaporate. So the moisture at the different spaces, it should come to the surface, and from the surface it should vaporize. So this particular drying process, it is a process where two types of transfers are there. It is a process of heat transfer as well as a process of mass transfer, because we have to transfer heat, and for that is heat energy is required for the vaporization, because we have to attain that latent heat of vaporization. So it is a transfer of heat, and heat is being transferred by different processes. Maximum cases we need to add thermal energy, we need to apply heat by maybe through hot air or any other process, and that heat is transferred to the different layers, and in respect to that heat, the moisture which can be present at different points of the particular solid wet mass, they can be transferred through the different layers to the surface, and from the surface it has to get vaporized. So it is heat transfer as well as mass transfer. Now let us see how the water remains inside the moisture. That is, we were discussing about heat transfer and mass transfer. Now we will focus on the mass transfer, that is the elimination of moisture. How is moisture getting eliminated from the dry solid? Now basically in the particles, in the wet mass, we have two basic types of particles or solids. We have hygroscopic materials and we have non-hygroscopic materials. In the hygroscopic material, water can be present in various places, like it can be in fine capillaries, it can be in cell fiber walls, or it can be in the surfaces. That water, it contains different types of vapor pressure, of wet solids which is less than the vapor pressure of pure water. So the water which is present in the hygroscopic material inside maybe capillaries or fibers or surfaces, it is called as bound water. And what is the condition of the bound water? Bound water contains the vapor pressure of wet solids which is less than the vapor pressure of pure water. And next we have non-hygroscopic materials, non-hygroscopic solids, which is where water is present inside the void spaces in between the particles. So that particular water, that particular moisture is called as unbound moisture or unbound water. What is the condition of the unbound water? Vapor pressure of wet solids is equal to the vapor pressure of pure water. Now it is quite obvious we have to eliminate both the bound water as well as the unbound water. So what is the process? The process is simple. We have to take the wet mass of the powder and we have to pass heat energy, and time to time we have to hit to the bound moisture as well as unbound moisture. Obviously it is understandable, unbound moisture is quite easier for eliminating from the solid, and because unbound moisture is present in the void spaces, so when we transfer heat energy, this is the water, this unbound water, this that particular water which is coming to the surface of the solid and it is getting vaporized, it is getting evaporated. So it is an easier one, but it is difficult and quite difficult to work on the bound moisture because it is present inside the fine capillaries or maybe inside the cell fiber. So it is not a very easy process, but to get a completely dry mass, to get a completely dry solid, we should both eliminate unbound moisture as well as bound water. So in the theory of drying, to understand the theory of drying, we have also to understand the different drying curves. So how do you obtain drying curves? It is a simple process. The process which we follow in drying is that we have to take some wet mass of solid and we have to pass hot air through that wet mass of solid, and from time to time we have to check what is the moisture content in it, because moisture content should be decreased at a certain intervals of time. So to calculate the to draw the different drying curves, we should get the moisture content of that particular solid, of that particular wet mass in different time intervals, and we should calculate the rate of drying which is proportionate to the time taken. In an industry, any rate, the term rate is being designated as the work done with respect to the time taken. So here drying rate is the kg of moisture, kg of water, kg of H2O with respect to R. So in the first drying curve, which is the basic drying curve, we'll plot against the rate of drying and the time. We have taken rate of drying in kgs per hour, kgs of moisture per hour, and the time in hours only. So let us see, we have divided the curve into 4 different phases. So let us first check the curve, then we'll come to the different phases. So see, follow the blue line, it is coming from the point A to the point B, then it is getting to a straight curve, that is the B and the C, then it is decreasing like this, the point C to the point D, then it is further decreasing from the point D up to the point E. So the moisture content in the practical experiment which you are doing, in that practical experiment we should calculate the decrease in the moisture content at a particular in the different time interval, and this curve should continue till this point E is reached. Theoretically at least, in the plot at least, we can reach this particular point. So at this point E, the moisture content is equilibrium moisture content, or we can call it as EMC. The definition and understanding of EMC which we had done in the previous lecture. So you see, when we start from the point A and we reach the point E, this is the basic drying curve. The point AB or the phase AB is phase 1, the phase BC is the phase 2, the phase CN is the phase 3, and the phase DN is the phase 4. So this is phase 1, we have to name the different phases. Phase 1 is the initial adjustment period, phase 2 is the constant rate period, phase 3 is the first falling rate period, and phase 4 is the second falling rate period. Now if we concentrate on the different types of different moisture contents at the different points, this point C is very, very important. What is this point C? It is everything from the graph. From the point C, the drying rate is getting decreased. So this particular point C, the moisture content is of the solid is called as the critical moisture content, or it is denoted by CMC. So critical moisture content means that particular moisture content which was quite a moisture content, because after that point the drying rate is decreasing. So after that very few moisture is only left. So if we start with the phase 1, then it is the initial adjustment period. Why we need initial adjustment period? Because whenever you will keep that wet mass and you will expose the mass to the atmosphere of dry air or hot air, heated and dry air, then it will take some time to adjust itself. So this phase is the initial adjustment period, but the drying rate also occurs. The graph is like this only. So it talk this particular thing. Next to that we have the phase 2, that is the constant rate period. Here the rate of drying is occurring at a constant level. This is a straight line. So with respect to time, as time is increasing, the rate of drying is also increasing, because this is the particular period where the maximum moisture is getting vaporized and the maximum moisture is getting eliminated from the wet mass. So after point C, the rate of drying is decreasing, and at point C, the moisture content of the solid is the critical moisture content. So the CD curve shows the first falling rate period. Here after the point C, the graph is getting a downward grade. So the graph is taking a downward grade. So this is the CD, this is the first falling rate period. But still the solid is not completely dried, so the drying process is still extended. So see this D and E portion, that is the second falling rate period. Here the moisture which is in form of the bound moisture, if you remember, it is inside the capillaries and in the very difficult spaces. That moisture is quite difficult to remove, and that moisture needs certain constant sort of heating. So in the phase 4, the very remaining sort of amount of moisture which was remaining in the solid, that is also going, but that will also go till a point, that is E, and that point is EMC, or equilibrium moisture content, because we cannot undergo the process. The process cannot continue beyond the EMC, and EMC is a point at which when we reach that point, the drying practically stops. Let's see two more versions of drying curve. We have studied the basic drying curve with respect to the rate of drying and respect to time. Now we will plot the same curve in two different ways: moisture content versus time. So moisture content is increasing in this pattern and time is increasing from 0 time to at this particular fashion. So let us see the curve. The same graph representation are maybe somewhat different. So this is the AB phase 1, or the initial adjustment period. BC, the second phase, or the constant rate period. There is a drop in the moisture content constantly. Here the maximum drying occurs. Next it is C and D, CD, that is phase 3, or the first falling rate period. And then there is the DE, which is the fourth phase or the second falling rate period. Now the moisture content at this particular point C is called the critical moisture content. It is that particular point after which there is a drop in the moisture content of the particular solid, to whose drying rate we are going to determine. And the drying process will continue. The moisture content will be there in the solid till the point E is reached. That is the point of EMC is reached. Next we are plotting the same graph, a bit tricky one, this one. this is we are plotting the rate of drying with respect to moisture content, but moisture content here is the zero moisture content and it is increasing in this way. So moisture content is greater at that particular point and lesser or no moisture content at that particular point. So we will see the curve, what is happening. Same graph, plotting may be somewhat different. So this particular point A and B, that is the phase 1 or the initial adjustment period. The B and C, that is the constant drying rate period or constant rate period. Then we have the decrease, that is the phase 3, that is the first falling rate period. Then we have the phase 4, that is the second falling rate period. Same at this particular point C, the moisture content of that wet mass is at CMC or critical moisture content, and the drying process is being continued till EMC is reached, because EMC is that particular point beyond which the drying rate cannot occur, drying rate cannot process. So this particular graphs, these drying curves are quite usable in an industry as well as a laboratory scale. Let us see the utility from the drying curves. When we plot different drying curves, with the time of drying of a batch of a material in a dryer can be estimated. We can have an estimate about how much a particular batch is taking for the drying, to complete the drying process, because in an industry the rate of drying should be very, very fast. The industry cannot go on with the same batch the entire day. So we can get an estimate about what is the time of drying a batch is taking from these different plots. And the size of a dryer can also determine for a particular batch from one moisture level to the desired moisture content of the product which we need. That is also can be estimated from the particular drying curve. So these drying curves are very usable, and that completes the theory of drying process.